ceremonies, Nathan Cassar.
Well, welcome to another electrifying episode of the Justice Plan Weddings and Podcast TV show. Now, we are your go-to destination for all things wedding related. At least we hope so. It's great to have you back. I'm your host, as always, Nathan Cassar, professional wedding MC, and your guide through today's captivating discussion. Joining us today on the show is none other than Claudia Oprya, the mastermind behind the Big Day events, where creativity and innovation meet to craft an unforgettable wedding experience. Now, Claudia's journey from TikTok luminary to wedding powerhouse is nothing short of awe-inspiring. With over 25,000 followers on TikTok to begin with, she redefined the wedding landscape, infusing it with fresh ideas and boundless creativity as one of the very first content creators for weddings to catch on in the industry. Drawing from her background in marketing, photography, and event management, Claudia brings a unique blend of expertise and passion to every project that she puts her mind to. But Claudia's story goes well beyond her professional achievements. As a trained singer and former live music photographer, she brings an artist's eye and empathetic spirit to her work, ensuring that every couple's story is told with authenticity and heart. In today's episode, Claudia will unravel the mysteries of content creation in the wedding industry, offering insights into its evolution and future trajectory. We'll explore how wedding vendors can collaborate with content creators like Claudia to elevate their offerings and deliver unparalleled experiences. And most importantly, we will debunk the misconception and myths that content creators are merely social media influencers. They really are instead true memory makers for your big special day. So get ready to be inspired and enlightened as we embark on this exhilarating journey through weddings and content creation. Claudia, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thank you so much for having me. What an introduction. Can I take that from you?
Sure, you're welcome to. Absolutely. I feel like I apologize to the audience for being a bit of a broken record, but I think almost every episode of this entire season so far, people have responded to my intros like that. So I feel like I'm onto a trend somehow. But you're welcome to take it. You can use it for your. I mean, I look. If you can help me become TikTok famous, I actually just joined. I resisted for many years purely because I already had like 5 platforms to begin with. And so obviously, as you know, social media is a minefield and it can take over your life. And so I decided, no, I'm going to just resist a bit longer until and I've hit 3 years now and I've had to do it. So, and it's a little bit of a rush. I got, wait for it, 1.5k views on my last video. I was very proud of myself. Yes,
that's great. That's 1.5k views you didn't have, Nathan. So
that is true. That is true. But I know you deal in the multiple hundreds of thousands and the millions worth of views. Look, how do you, before we start, like, how do you deal with, that sense? Because obviously you write a lot of your reputation on that, right? It's couples aren't coming to you going, oh, you're getting 100 views, your videos are great, but you only get 100 views, but we'd still love to book you. Like, that's just obviously not how you're attracting people. And so, but that being said, every time you're posting a video, you are, like myself when I'm on stage, like I am the product of my reputation when I'm on stage. You are the product of your reputation every time you push that publish button. How does it feel to sort of have to rely a little bit of your online reputation, not so much up to luck, but just hoping to the algorithm gods that you have successfully put something together that will really penetrate through to, the lefty, the swipey game that people play on social media?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. And I built my TikTok really on my personality, and other people who watch that, they see me and they're like, I want to book her. And in regards to the algorithm, and you're referring to luck, I don't necessarily think that it's luck. It's the fact that the algorithm knows what their people want to see. If that person is watching another female who is funny, who is in the wedding industry, then I might naturally come up. And I also think that I kind of bend some of the genre as well, because I am funny, I am approachable. I think that I do post content that is not just wedding related. I have so many followers who will comment on my videos and say, I'm not even engaged yet. I don't even have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a partner. And I just follow you because I like you. So I think likability is number one. And I pride myself on that. And I love getting clients that when I get to a job, I just have fun with them. That is such a reward for me.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I love that passion because I think that's the kind of energy and spirit you need when, perhaps one of the videos you put so much heart and soul into, doesn't do as well as maybe you're hoping it to. But obviously you've kind of gone over that hump. So anyone watching sort of wanting to either be exactly you or perhaps wanting to emulate something that you're generating. I think it's a masterclass in and sort of a feature story in having a bit more resilience and knowing that if you're just putting your best foot forward, eventually things will come your way, I suppose. I've found it. Is that correct? That it'll just sort of just work eventually if you keep at it?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that. But also if you sit around and just kind of hope for couples to come to you and you don't do any marketing and you're not
Mm.
connecting with them at a personal level, you're also not going to get that either. And you're not going to get a dream client or anybody for that matter. So it is a little bit of both. You can't just exercise and expect to lose weight if your diet's crap, and you can't, you're not going to lose weight if you eat really well, but you don't exercise at all. Like it's got to be a little mixture of the two. Yeah, it's got to be a mixture of the two for sure.
I love that. It's a great pep talk for any vendor of any niche that were, myself or DJs or photographers or people like yourself. I think that's a great way to be. And of course, look, you have hustled, and I've mentioned it in my intro that you took yourself from the 25K that you had originally with your own TikTok platform. You realized that you were able to touch an audience, and the algorithm was liking you, and then you hit a niche that really is I'm not gonna lie, has been quite controversial in the industry right now. It's kind of the hot
Yep.
topic. It's like what photo booths used to be about 10
Mm.
years ago, perhaps even more, sort of got a lot more pent up emotions that I've been seeing in some of the private groups amongst vendors and so forth. So tell me, can you explain sort of how the rise of content creations for wedding in particular has come about, knowing that you're one of the first to pioneer it, particularly in Australia, and sort of more forward thinking, where's the future in all of it?
Yeah, look, number one, why I think it's become so popular is that we want everything now. We want
True.
everything now. We are, no one really likes this word, but I think in some ways we can be a little bit entitled to not have any patience. And we do want things to be delivered really, really quickly. And photography and videography, super important, obviously. They take more time to deliver because their craft is, it takes time to make things perfect and to make somebody's wedding video perfect. Content is a super easy way for people to just get all the stuff from their wedding. They don't have to think about it. They get it the next day, or majority of my clients get it within 12 hours so they can wake up to actually have all their content. And they're just able to have it right off the bat. And it's great for vendors as well, because we often, and myself, well, a lot for me is I will always take content of vendors and send it to them as well, because I know that there's a little bit of tension there and I felt it myself. But yeah, in terms of what it's doing now and the rise of it, I saw it first happen in the US when I was on TikTok, and I thought, why the hell isn't anybody doing this here?
Hmm.
And so I thought, I'm just going to have a crack, and I'm going to see if I'm going to run a competition and see if 3 people are interested. Within the first 8 weeks of my business, I booked 50 weddings, which
Oh,
is
what?
insane. Which is insane.
That is insane.
It is insane. I hadn't even done a wedding yet. That was purely based on people interested in me as a person wanting to come to their
Wow,
wedding.
that's
Um,
incredible.
Total anomaly though. Like, I'm not going to say that that's going to be for everybody, because it's absolutely not. Total anomaly. Don't know
Hmm.
why that happened. Still trying to work it out. But but I think what is so attractive to people is, number one, having the pressure taken off their friends and family to take photos and videos of them on their wedding day, and be able to put
Hmm.
phones down and really live in the moment. Number two, having all that stuff really, really quickly. Number three, overseas family and friends who want to see your Facebook and your Instagram post right off the bat. Those are the 3 biggest reasons why people book us. And it's never a replacement of photography and videography. It's always an addition to. And in terms of the future, as you were talking about, the future of it's not going away. There is no way that that content creation for weddings is going to disappear anytime soon. If anything, the market is going to get bigger. People are going to start having it like they had videographers 20 years ago. Not everybody had a wedding video. Everybody has a videographer now. It's going to be the exact same thing. It's not going to be an anomaly. It's going to be the exception. Like, everybody is going to have one. That's my personal opinion. all I have to do is look on my Instagram every single day. We've got new content creators popping up. We've got content creators who now go into business content creation. They're doing real estate. They're doing event content. They're doing corporate content. It is invaluable. Everybody needs it, and not everybody does it. And social media managers traditionally used to do this stuff, but it's just become its own beast now.
True. It's definitely taken a much more specialist route, which I can really appreciate, because with the advent of saying something like Canva, for instance, it's everyone and everybody has suddenly become a digital marketer, even though you and I both know that it still requires that creative eye. It requires the understanding of how to use the servers appropriately, just like it would when you're using TikTok or using Instagram. You've got to understand the algorithm, you've got to keep on top of the trends, you've got to be posting regularly, you've got to have good content ideas and use the right audio, etc. And so that specialization and that sort of bigger beast, as you remark, you're right. It has become something that I agree with you, that is not going to go anywhere. I know we've worked together, and we've had these remarks from one another that, just as much as perhaps there might be some people in the industry who may be listening going, I'm just not sure about this. I'm not comfortable with this happening. It is, fortunately, unfortunately, depending on how you see it, really not going to be going anywhere. I'm personally excited by it, because having worked with someone like yourself directly, what was great was to see, you're the kind of person who actually understands where you need to be. And so we all had a place, some beautiful synergy on the day. You, just like I would, you introduce yourself to other vendors. The latest video I just posted up was actually content that you had for me. So I really appreciate that. But people can also see that there's that benefit of that speed that comes along, being able to share with your friends and family really quickly. So speaking of working with other vendors, because I know that a lot of couples think to themselves, look, we've got our dream team, but then we've just discovered this idea of content creation. And maybe that actually is something we can incorporate. Is it going to, I'm asking this only on behalf of couples, not myself, because I already know the answer, but is this going to be a detriment to the team that they've currently put together?
No. If you pick the right person, no. If you pick a content creator who, for example, has never done it before, or they've only done 2 weddings, but they don't have any background in potentially photography or events or weddings, and they're just coming along because they think it's an easy job, it's actually not. And it takes a lot of skill to be a wedding vendor, whatever vendor you are, to be a part of somebody's wedding day. It's a very big job, and you want somebody to do their best. So, if you pick the right person, they should be introducing themselves to your photography and videography team prior to your event date. And they should be very open with you about how they work on the day, what their process is. How do you introduce yourself to people? Do you do that? What is important with you when you're working with vendors? There's no reason you can't pry and ask a content creator, how are you going to fit in? Where is this going to go? And also with some couples, it's their first wedding day. They may have booked 2 photographers and 2 videographers, and they don't even think about the fact that people might miss shots if there's also a content creator added. It's not really your job to think about that. It is the content creator's job. If you pick the right one who is professional and understanding of the industry, they should be able to mold really well in very, very naturally.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, having seen it work in motion, it's one thing that I find that I've really noticed a lot with content creators at the moment, the good ones, like as you describe and as yourself. What I find is interesting about content creation is one aspect that doesn't really come from the professional videography. And this is not a stab at professional videography. This is just an objective fact upon the published, finished products that I've seen out there across the board compared to social media creation. And it's getting the lens of the other parts of the day that a videographer will never incorporate into their video. Because at the end of the day, right, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of what the videographers are there to do is to keep their cameras constantly on the bride and groom, or the bride and bride, or the groom and groom, whoever it may be. And the idea is that total lens on them captures so many beautiful moments, from the way they prepare in the morning to their entrance, to their first dance, everything else in between. But that lens doesn't really actually get much focus to other people unless there are signature moments like, say, a speech or something. What I find the content creators are able to do is have that more flexibility and fluidity and sort of free movement on the night, and also the objective, which is to capture that more rounded, hidden moments, BTS on the dance
Mhm.
floor, raw, candid, different angles. It doesn't have to be sort of curated and perfect. So, am I on the money there in terms of that major point of difference?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what you said with videographers. They're there to play an incredibly important role, but they don't necessarily get all of the little bits and pieces, like your bridesmaids trying to lace up your wedding shoes, and because you forgot to do it the night before, and they're talking about how many cocktails you guys had the night before, or your grandma and your new brother-in-law having a conversation in the corner of the room, or getting in right in the middle of the dance floor and getting all that stuff that nobody else gets. Like, there's so many little things that we get, and we are a completely different service because we offer that. Like, what we post on social media is 10% of the content that we get. Like, in a 12-hour day, I might get 3,500 pieces of content, videos and photos included. I only post 3 videos, and those are the best, right? That's the best of the day. That's the most beautiful content that looks cinematon. No, I've forgotten that word.
Cinematographic, or you go? Oh wow! Now you're getting my word.
No, no, no. You guys know what we're talking
Cinematic,
about.
cinematic.
Cinematic, that's the one.
There we
That's
go.
the
I knew
one.
I'd have it.
And it looks cinematic and it looks beautiful and it looks natural, but you don't get the content of me right in the middle of the dance floor going nuts with everybody else, getting all of the crazy, crazy stuff that the videographer's already gone, the photographer's already gone, but you still want that stuff. It's really, really important to have that stuff too. And yeah, it's a beautiful service, I think. And the feedback that we get is that I would have never have thought that this was going on my wedding day, but you were able to get it. And now I have all these memories I didn't even know were there. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that, and I think it is really you guys fill that one small but important gap that was never really filled by photographers and videographers, which is that additional sort of atmospheric style memory making that is
Mm,
not possible when the idea is to create like a 5-minute highlight reel with the audio overlaced with the speech and the ceremony and so forth. And don't get me wrong, I'm not putting any of those down. Those absolutely have a place. But I
mm,
think in this day and age, when you want to be able to share something really quickly, but you also want to get a more human and less sort of overly produced presentation of your special
mhm.
day, at least within, say, the first week or two, right? You want people to have to be able to put across on your socials something a bit more real and genuine, and rather than that curated sort of approach. And so being able to get those really raw moments, those funny moments you would generate out of those 12 hours of content, I think is really special. And I've watched a lot of your stuff, and I think seeing those really raw moments is the things that make people feel the one biggest thing that you and I both share, which is I'm so glad we did the day we did. That
Mm,
the way that we put it all together and the time that we spent with our friends and family was
mm.
absolutely unequivocally worth it. Now, look, I have to really drum this down because I know that there's still going to be people out there who are going to be resistant to this. So I want to give
Yes.
you the opportunity to speak for it. Because, yes, there is the myth that basically you're just there just to generate social media stuff. And
Mm,
I know we've already spoken out, I don't want to go too ad nauseum into it, but I want you to be able to speak to the audience because I feel so passionate for what you do,
mm.
because a lot of what I rely upon, my reputation, is being able to get content out there. And
Yeah.
so to prove what I'm capable of. And so in another way, you being able to prove and speaking behalf of other content creators out there, what can you say to couples out there right now that are still on the fence? Or even perhaps vendors that are listening to this who are
Mhm.
still on the fence. What can you say unequivocally, like you're here, you're here to bust the myth that all you do is just hold an iPhone around and pretend to be pretty for like 12 hours, 8 hours, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't just take content, we take memories. We create memories for you guys that you can have forever. That is the most important thing. It is one of those services that you don't understand the value of it until somebody you love, or you've had it yourself, that you don't really understand the value of it. The second you see somebody else's content, or maybe your friends had it and they go, oh my God, this was the best. Like, to have this girl here with me on my wedding day, not just taking content, but helping me do stuff, picking up the slack where necessary, being an almost like extra bridesmaid on the day, having something like that is invaluable to you guys. And I think that everybody should have content. Totally biased opinion. Obviously, it's my business. But I had one at my wedding, and I will tell you honestly that I look at the content more than I look at my professional photos, because
Big call. Yeah.
it is, because it's the human element. It's not the curated, really polished stuff. I want to see all the random bits and pieces that I missed. That is the most important part to me. I spent so much money on my wedding. Like everybody else, you spend a lot of money on your weddings. Having a content creator there means that you get your money's worth realistically, because you can have all the photos and videos, not just that are perfect and from the photography and videography team, but all the human stuff, the real stuff, the fun stuff, and the stuff that you are going to forget in 10 years' time. You will look at your wedding photos and go, that was incredible, that was beautiful. You'll have fond memories of the day, but you won't be able to remember all the silly stuff your friends did on the dance floor. With content, you could have that on a drive and look back on it in 10 years and show potentially your future kids and be like, look how cool mum and dad were. Look at us carving it up on our wedding day, right?
Oh, man.
It's invaluable. In my opinion, it's invaluable.
Yeah.
And even if I didn't have the business and I had a content creator at my wedding, I'd still be shouting about it, because I just think it's a fantastic service and I think everybody needs it. In terms of vendors, now I know that some of you guys don't like us very much. And to an extent, I do get it. The information that I've heard is that we might replace you guys. Vendors, seriously, like that's never going to happen. Never in a million years would my iPhone ever compare to your $20,000 camera.
Yeah.
Never in a million years. Unless I spend 20 grand on an iPhone, when that ever happens, maybe it'll compare, but we will never ever replace you guys, ever. And we're not going away. So we either need to work together and be a community, because there's room for everybody. Or, and the thing is that content creator community is small. If we work with a vendor who is perhaps not so nice to us, we all know about it. And don't underestimate us, because a lot of us are extremely professional and extremely well-versed in what we do. And we're passionate about what we do. We're passionate about weddings, and we're in it for the long haul. We're not in it to make some quick cash on a Saturday afternoon. It's a career for us, and it's a career for us, and it's important to us. And I want to do this forever. Like, I love this. And don't discount us, don't underestimate us, because we're not going away. It's only going to get bigger. So you're going to have to get with the program. Sorry.
I love it. No, it's a bold message, and I love it. And I want to be able to, I know we're going to be snapping that lens, that last 60 seconds in a bottle and pushing it out there, because it definitely deserves attention. And I couldn't agree more. I put my stamp of approval on it. Look, at the end of the day, I'm a big advocate for all vendors getting along, of course, and all of us working towards the common goal, which is our couple's biggest day of their lives, dream, expectation, realities, taken care of and beyond. And so, it is funny when you have like people like ourselves, and I would definitely say putting wedding MCs in that category too, where we're these smaller niches, and so therefore I find that we're more passionate about things, and that's just an attribute of it. And so we do want to work together, everybody. We do want to have that synergy amongst us all. So please let's just love everybody, and we'll have a great time.
Yeah, just get along, guys. It's not that hard. Like, seriously.
Oh, look, before we wrap up, and I've got a couple of rapid fires because I could talk with you forever. But I've got one more question. If you could briefly sum up sort of a too long didn't read, like what does a typical day look like when someone's working with you? What can they expect?
Okay, so typical wedding day for me looks like rocking up to bridal suite, never the groom's suite. If there's a groom, the bride never wants me to go there. Day in my life at the wedding, I rock up to the bride suite, introduce myself to whoever's there. And my first question is, what can I do? Is there anything that I can do to give you guys a hand today? And what do you want out of the next 3 hours that we're here before we head to ceremony? Then we go to the ceremony. I'm running around. I'm taking all the pre-ceremony stuff. I usually try to have a bite to eat if there's anything to eat, because I get starving because we're running around so much. You know what it's like, Nathan. And honestly, we're just shadowing the photographer and videographer the entire time. I think throughout the day when I'm with a couple, I just want to make sure that they're having the best day ever. So I'll always just, if I see their champagne's empty, I'll grab them a new one. If I see the bride struggling with her dress, I'm gonna pick it up. If I see that there's a box of stuff that needs to be taken to location shoots, I'm like, just chuck it in my car. I'll get it done. Let's just do it. Every day is so different. Every wedding is so different, so unique. But basically, we're just shadowing photography and videography the whole time. But there's always room for me to help. And that is what I teach myself. Like, that is what I've always done. And that's what I teach my girls. If you see something that needs to be done, do it. And we do that up until the last second. Until the last second that we're there and we're saying our goodbyes. We're always looking for what can be done to make this better. What can be done to make this content better? And I'm usually going home with like 5,000 pieces more content than I thought I was going to, because I just never stop taking photos and videos. And I usually run through 2 battery packs as well. That's kind of what my day looks like.
I love it. That's it's in some way, I know that it's obviously completely chaotic, and then in other ways, because it's so controlled, it's a controlled chaos. It's one where you've got complete handle and everything, even though there's a lot of different things you're taking care of all at once. So, and look, at the end of the day, it is always about service. So while you're obviously incredibly impeccable at that, and you've deserved your position in the industry so far. Look, I've got a couple of just quick questions before we wrap up, but I wish I could ask you more, but we'll just go with 2. First thing that comes to mind: what is the funniest moment you've had to date in your role?
Funniest moment I've had to. Okay, I was at a wedding, and it was 3:00 in the afternoon. It was a lunchtime wedding, and I think it was the cousin of the groom walked around the back with a huge Sharpie and wrote all over, 6'5" guy, cowboy looking dude, on his back wrote "just married" and then the couple's name forever in a love heart, and just came in, ripped his shirt off, 3:00 in the afternoon, high tea, mind you, and turned around and was like, "I love you guys. Congratulations." That I was trying not to laugh because it would have been in the video. I was holding back laughter. It was hilarious, amazing.
That's great. Oh,
It's
I've
so
not heard
good.
something like
So
that. I
good.
love that. Oh, this is
Yeah.
why we do this job, right?
Exactly.
And if you weren't doing this, if this just somehow, I don't know, your TikTok never got off the ground, the algorithm, every account you made just got 1 view every single time you put in, you're like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. What would you do in life? What would be your journey?
Other than international pop star, I'd probably I would probably be doing something I would just be continuing marketing. I have always loved marketing and I always found it fascinating, and I still do consulting work now. I'd still be in marketing because it's just that creativity mixed with business, and I just have always loved it.
Excellent. I love it. Well, look, we've come to the time. I'm sure our audience are very upset that we cannot continue the conversation, at least on the podcast here. But now that they know that you're incredibly in demand and very hard to get a hold of already, how are they able to get a hold of you if they are absolutely certain that they love who you are and love your content and want their weddings to be captured in the way that you do so well?
Absolutely. So my name, you can find me on TikTok at partygirlclauds, or you can find me on Instagram at thebigdayeventsau, or you can even email me directly, claudia@withsocials.com. And we have a website as well, which you can find on Instagram, but Instagram's your best bet at thebigdayeventsau.
Love it. Fantastic. Well, I wish you all the very best. I'm sure that our paths will cross very, very shortly as you continue to get more weddings and become just, a titan in the industry. It's been a pleasure to chat with you today. Thank you so much. And I look forward to your next set of reels. They always fascinate me. I love the perspective you give. So keep up the great work, and I'll see you the next one.
Thank you, Nathan. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Just As Planned Wedding Podcast. Please like and subscribe to let me know that you want more videos just like this one. And of course, please follow us on our socials at Just As Planned Wedding on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more expert insights to help your wedding go just as planned.